Today on Review This Thing, we are going to tell you which of these 4 cellular trail cameras is the best. Hey, it's Robbie and Adrian with Review This Thing. Before we tell you about these cellular trail cameras, do us a huge favor and hit that subscribe button that's right over there. Click that notification bell. If you have any of these 4 cameras or you have an opinion about the best, comment below, ask whatever questions you have, and hopefully we'll help you out. Today on Review This Thing, we're going to do things just a little bit differently. Instead of doing a complete review, we're going to just look at these 4 cameras and tell you which one we like the best. Because we have complete reviews already of each of these cameras. Those links will be below. We have the Moultrie XA, the Spypoint Link Micro LTE, the Tactacam Reveal, and the Moultrie Manifest. So for 2021, a few of these companies have come out with newer versions, but these are still available, so we wanted to compare these 4, and hopefully you can get them on sale as well since the other ones are newer.
So our initial intent in planning this video was to test each of these 4 cameras, do a complete review on each of the 4 cameras, and then tell you exactly which one would be the best. But what we ended up finding out was, as you know how it is on Review This Thing, many times it depends. There's different reasons to buy each different camera, and that's kind of what we're going to go into today. So it's not so much about which camera is absolutely the best, but why you should consider buying one camera over the other. Then at the end of this video, we'll circle back around and tell you which ones we like the best.
First of all, before we get into specifics about each camera, we're going to kind of tell you some overall truths about the cameras. One thing to know is each of these cameras can either be used on a Verizon network or an AT&T network. You just have to make sure you know which one you want and buy that specific camera. So for instance, if you have a Verizon phone, but you get terrible service where you want to put the camera, but you know AT&T gets great service, then buy an AT&T camera because it's not connected to your cell phone plan at all. We had a camera that was a Verizon one, and it did terrible in one spot, so we switched it out and got an AT&T, and it did great in that spot, and then that same camera did excellent in another spot. So just make sure you know which camera is going to get the best service in that area. Also, make sure that that area has 4G service. If there isn't 4G service, these cameras are not going to work.
The next thing to note is that settings on each of these cameras play a major role in how happy you'll be with the camera at the end of the day. When we first put out our very first cell phone camera, it was set up to send pictures every single time it took a picture. While that was a whole heck of a lot of fun, the batteries ran out very fast. We had batteries for about 2 weeks, and obviously if you're going back into an area changing batteries out every 2 weeks, it kind of defeats the whole purpose of a cell phone camera and not having to go into an area very often. Once we changed the settings to get pictures just twice per day, or even, and sometimes in the off season I do once per day, the batteries have been lasting for months, and I've been very happy with the cameras.
Also, not that you guys would do this, we were doing it to try to do some comparisons, but we put a couple cameras just right over top of each other, and for some reason that just made neither one of them work at all. So neither of them sent pictures. Now again, we were doing it to test it out for you guys, but you probably won't do that, so just don't do that. Okay, now Robbie's going to talk a little bit about how these cameras are similar.
So the first thing is really price point. When you look at a price point on all these different cameras, it's very, very similar, right around $100. The Spypoint is probably, sometimes it's listed for $149, $150, so it's probably the most expensive of those, but we have found many times that those go on sale for around $99, so it puts it right back at that $100 price point. The Moultrie we found as low as $79, $80. So sometimes you can find it a little bit cheaper, but basically they're all right around that $100 price point. They're all obviously motion activated, infrared, take nighttime pictures. The nighttime illumination range and trigger speed are all very, very similar. When we were using them, I couldn't really tell a big difference in either the trigger speed or the distance at which it would take a picture. They all run on AA batteries. Few of them, I think the Reveal takes like 12 batteries. The Spypoint only takes 8 batteries, so there's a little bit of difference in batteries, but they all run on AA's. As we mentioned earlier, we were a little bit worried at first about battery life, pretty much on all the cameras, but once we figured out some of those settings and changed some of those settings, the battery life seemed very similar on all of these cameras.
And also, most of them have the ability to use a solar panel. We haven't tried that out on any of them, but just keep that part in mind too.
They all take either a micro SD or an SD card. Very, very similar to your regular trail cameras. They just are cellular trail cameras and can transmit with that.
So now we're going to talk about a few of the differences. The Moultrie XA XV 6000 is clearly, this is just the box, but it's clearly the largest of all four of the cameras. But it's also the only one that did not have an external antenna. And initially, especially with the Reveal and the Spypoint, we were a little concerned about that antenna because of, being afraid it would break off or something like that. We haven't had that problem. They can be unscrewed or folded down, but just that was something that we had thought about as we were going through. So if you're putting it up in a place where maybe you need it to be a lot more discreet, public land or something like that, then you may want to look at one of the smaller cameras and not so much the big Moultrie. So in addition to size, there's a couple of differences with the plans. And Robbie, what are the biggest differences there?
So one of the biggest differences is species detection. The Moultrie actually, the plans come with species detection. So like you can set a filter for a buck, for a doe, for a turkey, for a person. It helps filter the pictures when you're looking through the app. The Spypoint also has that available, but you have to pay $100 extra per year basically right now. The only one that you can get for free right now is a buck detection, but the rest of them, if you want to do any of the other species, it is not free, and it's $100 per year. I couldn't find anywhere on the Tactacam website or in their plans or anything that talk about the Reveal having the species detection possible, and the Moultrie doesn't have it available yet. The Spypoint is the only camera that actually has a free option. You get 100 free pictures per month, which has been really nice for off season. Haven't had to pay for anything for that. The rest of them you have to pay at least $5 per month to keep them going to get a certain number of pictures. I think Adrian's going to put up a comparison chart of the plans and everything, but each camera will still work without a plan. So it'll still work just like a regular trail camera. You just have to go check the pictures. So even in off season, you can cut off the service and not have to pay anything, but still have pictures. With the plans, the Moultrie actually gets you what looks to be the most amount of pictures for the least amount of money, and the Moultrie probably looks to be the most expensive. But as we mentioned, you get a few things free in the Moultrie plan that you don't get in the other plans, and that may be why it's a little bit more expensive.
One thing too we would like to mention is that all four of these, obviously because they're cellular, you look at the pictures through an app on the phone, and they each have little differences here and there, nuances. We talked about species detection, things like that. But overall, all of the apps work well. You can get to all the pictures. They do what they're supposed to do. So nothing really stood out as, amazingly different for any of the apps on any of these cameras. Okay. So now what we want to do is tell you why we kind of think you should buy each of the cameras. Point out the reasons for, and then you can decide for yourself. So Robbie, let's start with the Moultrie. Why should somebody buy the Moultrie camera? So
the Moultrie camera actually, as we've mentioned, is probably the cheapest camera because you can find it on sale. And it also gets you, their plan gets you the best bang for your buck because you get more pictures for the amount of money you're spending. However, we did notice that the Moultrie probably has the lowest quality of picture. You can still tell what the animal is. You can still tell most of the time buck or doe, but the pictures compared to the other three are not quite as crisp and clear.
So pretty much if you just need a camera to put out, you're not super picky about, you don't want shareable pictures or anything like that, and you want to just be able to get pictures of a lot of stuff, then the Moultrie camera is probably the one you want to go with.
So Adrian, let's go to the other end of the table.
Okay.
Why should anybody buy the Moultrie camera?
So one of the neat things we talked about is that species recognition being free. So if that's important to you, maybe you live on property that's got several different types of animals and you want to just be able to filter quickly, then that may be super helpful. Also, not having an external antenna, if that's something that you're worried about, breaking or whatever, this one, again, was the only one that didn't have that. And picture quality, this Moultrie has pretty good picture quality.
And you can even get, through the app, you can get free HD upgraded pictures on the Moultrie. Couldn't tell a ton of difference between the regular one and the HD one, but it is an option available.
So opportunity to get HD photos, no external antenna, good pictures overall, and that species recognition. If those are the things that are important to you, you can also, actually, I just looked and found one of these for like $75. So if that's important to you, then let's go ahead and say, hey, these are the cameras that you need to be looking at buying. So now, after telling you why you might want to buy the Muddy or the Moultrie, I'm going to tell you that we probably would not buy another one of these cameras. So we're going to set these off to the side. So both of these are good cameras. They do what they're supposed to do. They take decent pictures.
But now we're going to tell you why we like these two better. Both of these cameras, as we mentioned, all of them are about the same price point. This one we actually were able to get on sale for $99. I think they're usually about $119. Again, we mentioned you can get this one on sale also for $99. So at that same price point, we definitely like these two cameras better.
Okay, so now that you know we don't want one of those two, we have these. But between these two, which do we pick?
So that's definitely a much harder question to answer. Both of these cameras have done very well for us. Both of them take really good quality pictures. Both of them battery life is very good. I'd say initially if you either look at the comments on our videos or do a Google search for reviews on the Spypoint is probably going to get a lot more negative reviews across the community.
But there's also a lot more of these made than there are of these. Production is a lot higher on these, so percentage-wise,
true enough.
You're going to have some more issues.
It's also a lot easier to find these in stores most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So thankfully, the Spypoint has worked very well for us. I do have a friend that had a Spypoint out, had a few issues with it, and actually contacted Spypoint. Spypoint was able to fix it through the app. He didn't even have to be at the camera. Everything works well now. So he's had really good luck out of it. So it makes it a much, much harder decision for us.
And we've had both of these out for at least a year now. And so they've been running, and we have had a good opportunity to kind of see how they're going to do long term.
Comparing these two, it's really hard to say. I do really like the fact that Spypoint has a free version of it. I've been using it in the off season and getting at least 100 pictures a month out of that. So I've definitely enjoyed that. And the Spypoint also, I think it's $5 and you can get 50 HD photos. So like the option to have HD photos on the Spypoint is really good. The Tactacam, you can change one of the settings to a 24 megapixel picture. So like ideally that's a pretty good HD picture too. So you're going to get a really good picture quality out of that one. And again, in our experience, it's been a little bit easier to find the Spypoint cameras in stores on sale, especially even at that $99 price point.
Yeah, you can find these, Academy, Dick's Sporting Goods, like anywhere, Bass Pro, you can find these. These pretty consistently are out of stock, even online and on their website.
But comparing that could also speak to the quality of these Tactacam Reveal cameras. When they're not around,
it's because people are buying them.
People are buying them for sure.
So what you might be picking up on is that we're really not going to give you an answer as to which of these you should buy. As usual, it just depends on what you're looking for. If you like the option of that 100 free pictures, if you like the option of the buck tracker, and if you need one and you just want to go buy it, then the Spypoint is probably the one you need to go with. If you're not in a rush and you've heard great things about the quality of the Reveal and the buck tracker thing isn't really important to you, but just picture quality, then the Reveal is probably the one you want to go with.
I would probably say the Tactacam app may be just a little bit more intuitive and a little bit easier. It's definitely a lot easier to scroll through bigger pictures so you can see what's happening, and it's very easy to share. I have had a few times where I've had to restart the Spypoint app to actually be able to share the picture that I was intending to share. Haven't had that trouble with the Tactacam. So definitely a hard decision, and a lot of it depends on what you want.
Well, I hope that was helpful, and I hope it helped you decide which of these cameras that you may consider buying. Now, keep in mind, as I mentioned, we do have complete reviews of all 4 of these cameras. The links are below. If you want more details, more in-depth review, then please check those out. But overall, hopefully you're going to figure out which camera you want. Hopefully we helped. If you have other questions, ask below, and we'll be happy to answer them. We'll get back to you as quick as we can. Otherwise, happy hunting.
So our initial intent in planning you can't laugh and
okay, well, don't, okay. Stop hitting the thing.
So our initial intent in planning this video was to figure out which one of these is exactly the best, and then come.
Sorry, just do it over. Oh, Okay, wait. Let me fix it. Woo-ha. Okay, I'm good. I'm good. Okay. Yep. I'm good. I'm good. Don't.
This is tough, isn't it?
Okay, go.
It's tough because we just like to laugh.
This is not tough whenever I'm alone or when you were alone.
Well,
it's
exactly,
tough when we're
yeah.
together.
Yep.
Okay.
Looking over there. I realized I was looking down whenever you.
Let me know when you're ready.
Whenever you are.
Hey, thanks for watching our video. While you're here, please take a second and subscribe. Click that notification bell. Also, while you're here, watch a few of our other videos. Comment below, share this video with your friends, and take a second and follow us on Instagram and on Facebook.